Let's do questions. Okay. Acorn76 starts us off. I once heard that a team should determine a strategy before the match, and the team should stick to that plan and only change tactics during the match if it's not going well. I guess tactics differ from strategies in that tactics are dynamic decisions made during the match, and strategies are more general plans. Are tactics enough to make bad strategies work? Is attacking Hanamura a second point a strategy that can work with correct tactics, or would that be a tactic for ... I'm guessing there's more. Acorn, your question cuts off. Just to actually address this though, strategy, yeah, strategy is usually your game plan. So strategy is the top layer. So strategy could be, okay, we're going to play dive comp, or we're going to play a death ball strategy using Mercy and Soldier. And we're going to try and just win by, we're going to just hold from the point, and that's how we're going to play. And so that's your strategy. Tactics are much more moment to moment. Okay, we're making a tactical choice on, they are running this, so therefore we're going to start changing our positioning a little bit. Reinhardt needs to position a bit more further forward or tuck in a little bit further back. Mercy needs to be a little bit more cautious. Soldier needs to sort of rein in a little bit more and maybe deal with the Tracer on the enemy team. So these are more tactical level decisions. The strategy overall you should generally have before you start. If you're playing in a 6 stack, you should generally have a strategy in mind. Even if it's just simple as let's just play normal meta and just play standard positioning. So, you know, Temple of Anubis, for example, you're just going to stand on that little middle high ground bit and you're just going to play from there. Stuff like that, usually very standard. Stuff like Sombra, making the decision to play Sombra is a strategic decision usually of, okay, we're going to play Volskaya, we're going to try and make Sombra work. Like, that's a strategic decision. It's not something that you should just go into a game and just go, oh, you know what, I'm going to play Sombra. When you're playing with a 6 stack, at least your team should probably know, oh yeah, no, let's just run Sombra, I can play Sombra on this, so let's do that, and go from there. Can tactics make a bad strategy work? Yes. Bad strategies, like, it's all a matter of execution. If the enemy team is executing a good strategy badly and you're executing a bad strategy goodly, well, I'm not Donald Trump. If you're executing a bad strategy in a efficient and concrete manner, you can probably still usually win, just by outplaying the enemy team. This is one of the virtues of Overwatch being an FPS, is that there is room for outplay. If your Soldier 76 is especially good and can just land shots reliably, then you'll probably still win. Stuff like that. Just if your Tracer is able to just kill people over and over again, you'll probably still win. So you can generally do stuff like that. In terms of changing your strategy, yes, if you see it's not working, the thing with strategy is this. Like old military strategy is usually, you know, a plan is great. A plan is usually the first casualty of war and stuff like that. Planning usually is, you know, lasts until first contact with the enemy. Like, plans need to be flexible, and your team needs to understand that, but the idea is as well that you should have a central shot caller who is going to say, okay guys, we're going to try doing this instead. And people should then understand what you mean by, oh, we're going to try and do this instead. Is attacking Hanamura second point a strategy that can work with correct tactics, or would that be a... Yeah, you see, I'm sure there's going to be more to this question. We'll come back to it, and we'll circle back around to Hanamura. How do you deal with a Pharah, assuming no one else in the group can play a decent hit scan? This ties into, well, for Omnivore. I found that I have trouble with Soldier on Pharah. McCree is where I have the best luck. Is it just me, or is it the nature of the DPS? McCree is actually a lot better at just outright killing Pharahs. So the idea is this. If you think about health over time, if you're comparing... Okay, let's not use blue, Jesus. Again, I think in graphs, so I'm sorry. You're going to have to deal with it. Health over time, so this is health, this is time. With Soldier 76, you're looking at this, so it'll go down steadily, pretty much in a straight line, because each shot is doing the same amount of damage, linear damage. And so the health will slowly decrease over time. Technically, it's actually a very small staircase, but we can simplify it into a straight line. With McCree, give him a different color. McCree is more like this, where health is like this, lands the first shot, second shot, and then third shot, right? And the time to kill might be actually probably in McCree's favor. Like, that's actually probably more close to here. If you're missing, then it will look more like this, where it's like, saying you land a shot, and then you miss a couple of times, and you land a shot, and then you might land the next shot pretty much instantaneously, and you'll get the kill. This burst damage, like, the Pharah will feel safe here. And so what you'll normally notice is that people tend to change their playstyle at around 100 hit points. They'll start changing how they play, maybe retreat, pick up healing, stuff like that, because they realize that they're in threat, like they're going to die if they keep fighting. So with Soldier 76, there is much more time to realize that, oh, I'm in danger. Like this, if we draw like a line across here. Like, there's just way more time here, like this, than there is here, right? This time is just huge. So the Pharah normally realizes that she's in danger and will back off and heal up. So as Soldier 76, what you'll notice is you don't kill Pharah as much, but you're usually just pushing her back. You're pressuring her back more regularly than you would be with McCree, but McCree has more chances of just killing her. The weakness, of course, McCree faces is if the Pharah just stays distant, McCree won't be able to actually deal with the Pharah. So with Pharah's playing against the McCree and there's no other long-range hero, the Pharah can just stay very far back and very high in the sky. You might be less effective overall, but the McCree's not really going to be able to kill her. And if Mercy can heal her, if Zenyatta can heal her or something like that every so often, she'll be A-okay. So that's sort of the McCree weakness. Also, if you are just better at Soldier or better at McCree, you might just be better at pinpoint aiming and just like flick aiming or stuff like that rather than tracking. I myself am usually a little bit better at tracking overall, but I love playing snipers, so I sort of brute force my precision aiming. So yeah, it could just be a matter of taste as well. In the case of an unconventional team such as this, how would one respond or position themselves to it? I find that there's a lack of enemy tanks, they tend to take odd paths which can throw me off greatly. It's actually a very, very interesting thing that happens, which is like when you get used to playing against meta comps, if someone just doesn't play the meta, it can really throw you off. There's a beautiful quote, which is the greatest swordsman in the world doesn't fear the second greatest swordsman in the world. He fears the amateur who's never picked up a sword before in his life, because the second greatest swordsman in the world has been trained in the classical way. He's going to do expected things. You know exactly what he's going to do with it, and he's going to do the motions that are most efficient and have been studied, and you can kind of guess what he's going to do. And I sort of mentioned this to Ryan as well when talking about like comparing pro level games to Scrim Central games, for example. You know what the pros are going to do, you kind of know how they're going to react, you know how a pro team fight is going to go, usually before it even starts. You can figure out exactly kind of what steps are going to be taken, and you know exactly what's going to be coming. With amateur teams and with amateur players and with the amateur swordsman, he's never seen a sword before in his life. He could just start clubbing you over the head with it. You don't know what he's going to do with it. How do you prepare against that? You can't guess, and you can't understand what they're going to do. So suddenly you have stuff that's just... You have no preparation to deal with. And so if they're running 6 DPS and they all just take all different routes and then just all converge on one person, that person's going to explode and you go, what the fuck? To me, the key is this: simplify. Figure out what makes your team comp so much stronger than theirs. So in the case of the 6 DPS, well, you have healing, you have barriers, you have tanks. Okay, they don't. Let's play around healing, barriers, and tanks. Let's make sure that we are maximizing the effectiveness of our healers, make sure we're maximizing the effectiveness of our tanks, and then just play together and try and just have a higher output than them. If they're running like our team was, which is they're playing more supports and playing more defensive, then okay, our team has way more DPS. Let's just try and blow people up and go from there. And sort of developing that layer of strategy instead. So it's working out what makes my team better than yours. Where am I better than yours? Okay, can we leverage that? And if you can leverage that, then it all becomes kind of simple. The other thing is just like, don't do anything fancy if people are playing unconventional. I find that if you just stick to the basics and just play around what you know works. So if you're playing Reinhardt, Soldier, Mercy, Zen, and other heroes involved, 2 more heroes involved in that, just play clumped, stand near the point, and just fight without doing anything flashy. And you'll probably win. Because that's why that comp works so well. Best ult combos with Earthshatter? Honestly, you generally don't need an ult combo. Ryan and I were doing some beautiful stuff last night though with Death Blossom and Earthshatter. It's just a very easy way to clean stuff up. Basically, Earthshatter, if it lands, it's just extremely good. I want to kind of flip the question, which is... Actually, yeah, best ult combos with Earthshatter. Like, you want to flip it and think, okay, well, what does Earthshatter pair super well with? EMP Earthshatter, extremely good because you can't block the Earthshatter. Diva Bomb Earthshatter, again, extremely good. Roadhog Earthshatter. Whole Hog, you blow up the enemy barrier, drop an Earthshatter, goes right through. You usually don't need any other ults to finish up, like to win a fight if an Earthshatter goes through. So the idea is actually more setting up the Earthshatter, getting the Earthshatter down correctly. Is setting up the Earthshatter, getting the Earthshatter down as strong as you can and as cleanly as you can on as many targets as you can. So like that's why EMP is so good, because if the enemy team is tucked behind the Reinhardt, what you do is just EMP it, and then you go from there, and it's like you just Earthshatter their entire team, and then you just kill everyone, and it's super easy. What do you say to blank? Blank. BlizzCon is coming up. What would you like to see announced? I'm expecting a new hero. I'm really expecting a new hero. I'd be very surprised if there's no new hero at BlizzCon. What I'm really expecting, like, new hero, what's next for Overwatch. I think that is literally one of the panels, or at least it is for World of Warcraft. I imagine WoW's going to get a new X-Pack announced. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. Just overarching plans as well, like developing, are they going to be pushing more maps? What are they going to be doing about competitive issues? What are they going to be doing about just keeping the game interesting and exciting? Are they going to be adding new content in terms of like stuff that is just vastly different than what we've seen before? We're going to see more development on the PvE side. That kind of stuff will be interesting to see. So those kind of plans as well, just in general. I'm expecting a new hero in terms of like actual stuff that plugs directly into the game. Be very surprised if there wasn't. And maybe some sneak peeks at some new maps or game types, stuff like that. Best time to use Molten Core? Very good question. Very simple question, and I like it. Okay. So with Molten Core, what you're looking for is let's inverse the question. Let's flip it around. When are bad times to Molten Core? Well, if the enemy team hasn't pushed yet, you press Q and the enemy team just doesn't push and just goes, okay, whatever. Conversely, if the enemy team hasn't actually engaged yet, I see a lot of Torbjorns kind of jump the gun, activate Molten Core, and the enemy team's just going to back off. And they feel kind of happy about it. So you've got to kind of wait for the enemy team to engage. People have to actually be fighting, and when they're actually fighting, that's when you drop the Molten Core and you swing the fight. If you do it when your turret's about to go down, by the way, your turret heals up to full as well, which is quite nice. Also, if you are personally in amongst the enemy tanks, it's also a very good time to Molten Core because Torbjorn does a lot of damage. So, yeah. You'll be able to shred tanks. So just avoid doing it too early, I think is usually the issue. Just make sure that like your turret is not going to go down. Make sure you have a tier 2 turret up as well. Or you can at least, you are in position to build one very quickly. You do build faster in Molten Core, so you want to just make sure that you are in position to get it up quickly. So behind your tanks, you have people covering you and you can just slam it out pretty quick. Because when you drop Molten Core, there will be people like me who go, Torbjorn's Molten Core, but he doesn't have a turret. So all I'm going to do is just make sure that I continually hit his tier 1 turret with something every so often. Because every hammer hit with Torbjorn, every hammer hit with Torbjorn, just to hammer home that this is not a real pipe. Every hammer blow with Torbjorn is either a repairing hit or a building hit. You can't have a hit that like repairs some health and builds the turret. So 1 damage on the turret will make sure that that next hammer hit is going to be a repair hit. It won't build towards a tier 2 turret, which means that the Torbjorn won't actually be able to build. So if you just continually tap the turret as a soldier, Torb can't do anything. Very, very important to know that, which is why you need to be careful. What do you say to Torbs that sit behind turrets and why are they wrong? Because Torbjorn can't repair as well as like people who do that usually come from Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2, a tier 3 turret with a dispenser behind you. The engineer is very difficult to remove. You need a lot of concentrated firepower to remove that engineer. Torbjorn doesn't really work like that. Torbjorn, if he sits behind a turret and repairs it, it used to be the case that the turret would take a huge amount of work to kill, but since they did some changes, 1 hero at long range usually can't do it, but 2 definitely can. So the second that people start focusing your turret down, and if they see they can, they will blow it up very quickly. Torbjorn also does a lot of damage. Like someone said earlier, McCree levels of damage, and the right clicks he does are also pretty potent. They're just difficult to land. So you can actually do quite a lot of hurt yourself. The other third important thing is that turrets relatively quick to build and are free. So if you lose a turret and you can just rebuild it somewhere else that's safer, do it. Enemy team doesn't get any ultimate charge, stuff like that is actually very, very strong. So your turrets are much more disposable than you would expect. So you can play around that pretty well. Thank you, oh god. There you go. I think I got that. I think I got that one down. We tried. But yeah. Basically, if you're just sat behind the turret repairing it, you could be doing more. There is more to be done. And it's a sign that your turret's either in a bad position. It can be a sign that your turret's in a good position and the enemy team just can't get enough DPS to kill it. In which case you can just stay on there because you're just eating up time and the enemy team isn't actually gaining anything from shooting at your turret. Finding into comps where you need the checklist is the bane of my existence in low tier. I usually pick Pharah and just desperately try to carry out the list myself before my team breaks itself against the entrenched enemy. I usually wind up trading in the process. How do you hire people to play down the list, and what is a good list? It depends. Let's look at the hero team lineup and go from there. Anyway, UI, there we are. And okay. So, heroes that require a checklist. Let's go. Let's start with the highlighter. And let's start going, give me a thick brush. There we are, nice and thick.
Welcome to Overwatch, Monster.
Thank you, Bundio. 6 months, enjoy the new icon. Champ indeed. Okay, so where are you, Symmetra? Symmetra definitely requires a list. Torbjorn requires a list. MEI actually requires a list as well. Anyone else? Bastion, technically. Okay, the silver is literally gone. Getting rid of this. Ugh.
Welcome to Overwatch, Monster.
Thank you, Nibelung, as well. 3 months. Also enjoy the new icon thing. Very nice. Okay. Let's get rid of the pipe. So what is MEI's list? MEI's list is simple. Has she used wall? If she's used wall, okay, we can push. If she hasn't used wall, we have to push together, or we have to bait the wall with someone. If you don't do that, then you're gonna have trouble. So yeah, you've got to just like bait the wall and develop from there. It's a very small list, but it's important to do, because if you don't do it, you'll have half your team push through, half the team won't, and then you'll just end up dying and losing. Symmetra's list. Clear turrets. Actually, usually very high priority if you don't clear the turrets. So this is especially true for heroes like, if you see me play Tracer into a Symmetra, Pharah is actually very good for this as well. Genji's okay for this. Sombra is very good for this. Any hero that can sort of get to the enemy backline somehow, just clear out the turrets around the choke as best you can, because the thing you'll notice if you play Symmetra is that if you try and rebuild turrets and then contested choke point, the Symmetra will probably end up dying. It's very, very hard to sort of rebuild those turrets. So if you clear them out, the Symmetra has to build further back, and then you can clear those out and she has to build further back. She can't like stand in Volskaya's choke point and put turrets up on the front side if the people stood and fighting in it. She just will die in the process. So usually a very good idea is just to clear those out and see if you can bait the Symmetra into making a mistake. If she has a shield generator, then go find and deal with that. Just understand that once you start killing things from the backline, the Symmetra will probably peel off and try and protect a shield generator. As Tracer, if you have Pulse Bomb, absolutely use the Pulse Bomb, the shield gen. Worth it every single time. Just go in, drop the bomb, move out. Tracer, again, this is sort of backline heroes. If you're playing Winston, MEI, Lucio, also very important to clear turrets as you're pushing forward. Lucio very good at doing it because you don't, like, your shots aren't hugely relevant, and so you can just clear the turrets as you go. Winston just has to sweep an area and he'll be able to do it. MEI can also do it as well. Soldier can do it. Like, if you have explosives as well, Zarya right clicks, extremely good for clearing turrets. So like, if you have any kind of explosive, any kind of good sweeping, you should be using it. Like, if Doomfist has to do it, if Reaper has to do it, if Roadhog has to do it, then something's going wrong. Genji not that good at it. If you're pushing in, that is. If he's just sniping from safe distance, then sure. But if you're in the middle of a push, Genji doesn't want to be using shurikens to clear turrets, basically. Hanzo, Widow, also not great at doing it. Torbjorn, turret, where is the turret? Can we shoot the turret? Can we kill the turret? Do we have the heroes necessary to kill the turret? Widow, Pharah, stuff like that. From long distance, if you do, clear the turret out. If you don't, find an angle that doesn't come in on the turret, and then find a way to either kill the Torbjorn and then kill the turret, or just find a way to kill the turret. It's just like playing around the turret. If the turret is down, you have a window of opportunity, go use it. Absolutely, please use it, and then go from there. When is it worth usually swapping off double healer to try and counter the damage with a DPS of your own? Is it worth it? Pretty much never. This is the way that the game sort of functions. The reason why one healer is vastly inferior to two is that dive DPS exists. So, if the enemy team is playing any kind of dive comp, perhaps like a Tracer or a Genji or something, or even a Winston, if you're playing mono support, the enemy team plan becomes super easy. We dive the support and we kill the support. Because once that's gone, their two supports will, again, it's that output graph sort of thing. Your team's output, your healing output is now 0. Their healing output is way higher than yours. They'll just win the fight. You have to protect the healer super well to be able to make that function. It's usually very, very complicated to do. You are basically relying, when you're playing mono support, you are completely reliant on your team not on their team not realizing that you're running mono support and not playing accordingly, or your team protecting the mono support super efficiently and super well. If that doesn't happen, you're in trouble. You are really in trouble. So yeah, I would say it's extremely rare. I mean, if you're losing, you're going to lose the game anyway, and you think that you can do better. No one can physically stop you swapping off support and playing DPS, but understand that usually it is a drop in chances to win. If you're going to lose regardless, then okay, whatever, trying something different might just work, but you got to be careful when doing stuff like that. People will not thank you for it either. I'll tell you that much. How closely should you stick to that plan you start with? Particularly an issue for us because our Shimada main has some serious focus issues. It depends. It depends on how successful that plan usually is. If the plan isn't working, you've got to change it. Like, there is no point sticking to a plan that is losing, right? You've got to learn to sort of throw it out, try something different. You have just one of those hats? Yes. But I have a bald head. Actually, is having a bald head going to make it any cleaner? I don't know. It probably isn't the cleanest in the world. I don't really care. It's not dirtying my hair, let me put it that way. Anyway. Particularly an issue for us because Shimada main has serious focus issues. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by serious focus issues. Does their attention start wandering when playing and stuff like that? Do they start doing different stuff? But if the plan is failing, swap it. Like, don't stick to a sinking ship, right? You know, you got to change up what you're doing, because that's just sensible. That's just good living as well. Good advice. If something isn't working, you got to change it. So yeah. Other than that, like, you should generally just try and make it work, and then if it's very clear, like, if the enemy is countering you, then you just go, okay, well, this isn't working, we need to change it, and then just remember in the future that if you see that thing happen again, okay, we can change it faster, and we can adapt it faster, and it just sort of all becomes part of the plan. I used to watch, and I still kind of do watch a lot of Day 9, and what was always fascinating to me about watching Day 9 dailies was this idea, like, people have this idea in games about strategy, which is very strange, which is like, the strategy, and I'm going to use, let's try and use Overwatch examples. The strategy is going to be to use a dive comp, because everyone kind of knows what the dive comp is. So we are going to play dive, right? This is the strategy. That's our strategy. We're going to play dive. What a real strategy actually looks like. This isn't actually a strategy. This is just like the barest simple bones of a strategy. A real strategy looks more like this. Okay, we're going to play dive. If they're running specific heroes, if they're running scenario A, let's actually make that a good circle, then we are going to just stick to dive. Because we know that dive works against scenario A. If they're running scenario B, okay, we are then going to change to a Reinhardt comp. We're going to start playing around a Reinhardt instead, and that's going to work better. And then if they go back to A, then we might feed back into dive. If they are going to play like a Widowmaker, for example, then we go to scenario C. Okay, we're going to play in scenario C, which means we're going to change our Zarya, for example, into a Diva, or whatever. So then scenario C goes into Diva. Like, this is actually a strategy. This is a more complete strategy of, okay, well, we're running this comp, but then they're running this thing that we know beats our comp, so we're going to make this adjustment, and we know what this adjustment is. Or we know who is going to swap and how they're going to swap. This is what a complete strategy looks like. So yeah, it's more like a development of the idea that just because the initial step isn't working doesn't mean that you shouldn't have other steps. And that isn't like a change in like your overarching strategy. It's just part of the plan of, oh, well, they're running this, well, we can change to this. So when your healers into a Zen and use discords against Pharah, if she's popping off, I find that to work well, but maybe it's just like I have. No, Zen is a very good Pharah counter. Just the issue that this team was facing especially was that you had the Zenyatta, but you had nothing else to follow it up. Did they add the hats to Overwatch? No. I don't think I would like modular cosmetics in Overwatch. I would rather have the unified skins. I prefer that. What flavor of ice cream would the telephone pole the sad Genji tried to climb would be? Disappointment. Disappointment and regret. My favorite kind of ice cream. Is attacking Hanamura a second point a strategy that can work with the correct tactics, or would a tactic be even for an even more general strategy? I think I see what you're asking here. So let me put it this way. A strategy is, okay, from first point to second point Hanamura, we are going to go in top right. Like, that is a strategy. That's a strategic layer decision. The specific tactics that are, okay, we're going to go in top right with you, and you. Reinhardt's going to lead. You, and you are going to follow him. Pharah's going to go around the side and just deal damage from the side. That's more specific tactical decisions, because those decisions then become, well, the Pharah from the side is getting cut off, so what we're going to do is change the Pharah for this, and then we're going to just run in even harder on the front line and see how that goes. Okay, we can't run in from here. Now we're going to make a change to our strategy where we're going to go in from main, and we're going to try and push main. That's sort of more strategic, and then tactics is more the specifics of how you're going to actually execute that. Tactics is also going to be, okay, we're going to use this ultimate to breach this, therefore we need to sort of get there, like, we're going to use Earthshatter to breach their team, so we need to get their barrier down, or Reinhardt needs to get past their barrier somehow, so we're going to try and get that done. That kind of stuff. In solo queue, shot calling isn't as good. Is calling Reaper on point or Soldier high ground really helpful? How should you react? Do people know how to react? Is always a general question. It can never hurt. Is basically the main thing of calling out, like, proper shot. Like, shot calling is difficult in solo queue, because in solo queue, actual shot calling is basically telling people what to do, and some people resent that. Some people like having a shot caller, but some people will just resent it. Of, what the fuck are you trying to tell me what to do? Who put you in charge? I'm higher elo than you. Me. It's like, I don't see you coming up with a plan. So yeah. What I would say is, if you're trying to shot call in game, then what you should try and understand is that no one is obliged to follow you. And if someone doesn't want to follow what you're saying, then you just go, okay, whatever. The people that do, okay, you just work with those guys. So what I would say is, like, shot calling is not calling, like, Reaper on point, Soldier high ground, stuff like that, or Soldier top left, stuff like that. That's more, it's not so much shot calling, it's just general calling. Like, shot calling is calling the shots. General calling is, like, locational calling is always going to be useful. A specific, like, a shot call will be more like Tracer going around the back, Winston go deal with it. Like, that's more of a shot call, or telling someone specifically, you go deal with it, we'll deal with the front line. We're gonna make a top left, Winston go jump it. That's more shot calling, and so you got to go with that. Let's see. Attacking from Hanamura from the high ground. Yeah, that's more of a general strategy. That's like the meta strategy usually. Niche heroes are not as effective, but people don't know how to react. Why is such heroes? Is this why such heroes are effective? It's also just because people aren't used to it. Those heroes do have specific strengths as well. Like, worth mentioning that there is a Symmetra main in the top 10 of North America at the moment. Sometimes it is a case of people don't know how to react. Sometimes it's a case of people don't know how to judge a hero and how to judge how to fight that hero. So you just don't have the experience of, like, oh my god, this Symmetra is killing me. I'm taking so much damage. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And it's just like, if you just calm down and shoot her, you'll probably win. It's like when I play Reaper and I play against, like, playing against Symmetra yesterday, and I just blew her away several times in a row because I don't think she knew the matchup, Reaper Symmetra, very well, but I know the matchup, and I know that Reaper versus Symmetra, if the Symmetra's not on high charge and I'm playing Reaper, I will probably win. As long as I land a couple of shots, I'm a-okay. She's probably going to take me down to about half, but I'm fine. I don't give a shit. And if I do have to give a shit, I'll just Wraith form. Her gun will go back to a low setting, and then I'll be able to kill her anyway, so whatever. So, like, having a Symmetra try and engage me as Reaper is just like, you dare to fight me? And then you just blow her away. So it's also a case of, like, people just don't understand the matchups, but also people don't know how to play against MEI anymore. Or, like, you know, it's like when Reinhardt came back into the meta and Ryan was basically going, yeah, I'm having the easiest time in the world playing Reinhardt because I just walk forward and people don't know what to do. It's going to be the same for MEI. It's going to be the same. Like, you'll see high-level players losing to Bastion because they don't know how to deal with the Bastion that's being covered. It happens all the time. Let's see. More questions? How much time has passed? Quite a while. How many heroes are you really good? Actually, someone asked me another question. Sorry, I missed it. I think I saw a question in there. It's nice to relax here. There we go. It's nice to relax here after seeing Blade Runner 2049. Don't have a question. No watch. I'll just ask, how's your day been? It's been pretty good. Played some Cuphead. Had a good time doing that. Did some work. Organizing some things coming up very soon. Look forward to showing you guys some of those. It'll be good. Other than that, relatively quiet today. Didn't manage to play any Divinity today, which sort of makes me a bit sad, but the other people in my group that I play it with are going to be busy for today. So yeah, I'll get to play it a bunch tomorrow, I think. I'm looking forward to it. I might see if we can stream some of that, because it is very, very funny what we get up to. Let's see, how many heroes are you really good at? What do you rely on others for? I am really good at, it depends at what level. Heroes I would consider myself proficient on. That's... You get the Pentool, Anna, Doomfist, Lucio, Reaper, Reinhardt, Soldier, Sombra. I consider myself an okay tracer. Winston, Zarya, Zen. These are the heroes that I will be confident in picking. Which is pretty big. Like, for a lot of people, a lot of people's lists aren't this huge. But I would feel confident picking these heroes into pretty much any match. Even I feel happy picking these heroes. Maybe not Tracer on Ohm. Maybe. Like, Tracer's kind of a dubious one. I feel my Tracer's alright, but it can be better. One bigger mission here is Genji. I don't feel like my Genji is okay, but it's not great, and so I wouldn't feel confident picking it into a high level game. I feel more confident picking Tracer than Genji, that's for sure. But I think I could play all of these to a mid to high masters tier level. Some of them higher. Anna probably higher, Zen higher, Lucio higher. That's probably about it in terms of the actual things I could play into GM. Otherwise, let's see. Oh. German joke, yeah, I figured. It's a German joke, but... There we go, all the subs. Any more questions? Is the studio light for streaming in the middle of the night not exhausting for your mind? I have a weird sleep schedule. I get up usually about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and so yeah. Oh, excuse me. Pipe. We'll wrap up with 1 or 2 more questions. If your solo healing is Anna, but have a soldier who's not dealing with the enemy Pharah, should you put pressure on her? No. If you have 3 DPS or 3 tanks if you have 3, 2, 1 and you are the only support, you have to be full-time healing. You will have very few opportunities to actually do anything to the Pharah. The logic flow there is that if you have triple DPS, for example, and they still can't handle the Pharah, something else is fucking up. And there's not much you can do about that. Gotta go now, but thanks again for the coaching. No problem. Hopefully some of it was useful. I don't know how useful it was. It was very scattered. I'm sorry about that. Should you prioritize picking your hero based off a team comp or off the enemy comp? Off your comp. General logic is, like 99% of games I've ever seen, and this is like general gaming knowledge, it is better to do what you are comfortable with than try and do what the enemy is uncomfortable with. If what you are comfortable with is just what the enemy is uncomfortable with, then great, you're probably going to smash them. But I've seen it time and time again where people will try and like, oh, well, this guy doesn't play well against this cheese strat, so we're just going to run this cheese strat even though we never practice it, and you end up losing. Like, that happens all the time, so it's... So yeah, just like stick with what you're comfortable with, usually. Sim main is nut, yep. When shooting at a Symmetra, should you stop moving and just aim or keep moving? You should move, but like understand that you are not moving to evade the Symmetra damage, you are moving to evade other sources' damage, like you say. In general, just focus on putting as much damage into it as possible. Like, you can't dodge the Symmetra. What I would suggest is this: move towards health packs, basically, because the health packs are going to give you more time, and time is of the essence. How about your hog? No, not on Ohm's level. Definitely not on Ohm. Like, definitely not high masters. I could probably play it in about masters, but honestly, my hog is not great these days. I haven't played it enough. Do you play Anna right now? Nope. With everyone ranting about her being useless in the meta, I'm kind of hesitant about picking her up again. I wouldn't call her useless. Useless is a bit harsh. The issue is this. The way Mercy Res works, tanks are sort of more favored in the meta. Like, we're swinging it back into a tank meta, but it's kind of weird because Mercy Res is very good on tanks. Discord is very good on tanks, so Mercy provides more than enough healing. And the Zenyatta Discord Orb is next to essential. So Zen Mercy has actually become sort of meta. For attacking teams, Lucio speed boost is super good, and then Mercy occupies the flex support slot. So it's kind of for Anna at the moment. She's just having a tough time. Steve Dart still interrupts a whole heck of a lot, yeah. But it's still not. It's not as good as Mercy, let's put it that way. So generally, like the way that team comps are usually arranged, you have she's called like flex support, and then you have the Lucio usually. And so flex support players will usually be like Anna, Zen, Mercy, and Sombra. Usually, the Lucio players, surprise, surprise, play Lucio, and then usually like either Zen or Anna. Like they'll usually have some ability to play this other support, because the flex player might sometimes have to play something else. So yeah, like the Lucio player might actually usually be the Mercy player as well at current meta, I imagine, because basically the idea is this: if the flex player has to play Zen or Sombra or Anna, then someone else has to play Mercy, or you just have like a Mercy these days and the flex is the other one. It's kind of weird on how you tailor supports, but if you're a support player, you should probably be able to play 3 supports. I mean, right now, you could probably get away with just playing Mercy. And I mean, you could always get away with just playing Mercy, but everyone would hate you for it. But I would recommend, like, learn 3 supports. One of them should be Lucio. One of them should be Lucio. You should be able to play Lucio. You shouldn't be DSP stanky. You shouldn't be wall riding and booping people off, but you should be able to play a functional Lucio and be able to move your team around, stuff like that. Other than that, you'll either be playing Anna, Mercy, or Zen, because that will cover most team situations for you where you have to pick a support. Thanks for the coaching as always. What variety of gameplay are you looking to coach? More support because the current meta, DPS tank. Basically send footage, like if you have footage, if you are a support player, send in support footage, like send me footage. I mean, this is going to segue nicely because I do need more footage at the moment. Like, not too much has been sent in lately, so more footage would be nice. New Roadhog we still have yet to really cover in detail, so if you do have Roadhog footage around, I would love to see it. Otherwise, like any game, I always recommend this. Any game where it feels like you don't know why you lost, or it was a close game and you lost it and you kind of go, what could we have done differently? That's where the coaching will really shine. If it's just a stomp, either way, it's not very easy to sort of... If the issue with stomps is it's usually very easy to pinpoint, oh, well, this is sort of the main reason, and then you have all these other reasons around it, but this is usually the key reason. Like, the team comps aren't very good. So, when in doubt, just send it in. And that's usually go for it. Someone said send more footage. Honestly, Zeta, you can send more footage in. It's been a while, it's been long enough, you can send more footage in. Otherwise, if you do want to send footage in, send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank in the title and a YouTube link or something in the description below, and a description of maybe what you want looking at, what you felt about the game, that kind of stuff. It's all very useful. Other than that, yeah, thank you guys for watching to the end. I have been Josh, one voice amongst many. We're going to do something a bit different today. We're not going to play some Overwatch, we're going to play some Battlefront, because I haven't had a chance to play in the beta yet, and I want to go and have a look at that. So we're going to go and take a look at that instead, just for some variety, I guess. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching to the end of the coaching session. I've been Josh, one voice amongst many, and I'll see you guys next time. Toodles.